Welcome to the new customer cohort report. Wicked Reports mines your shopping cart data to show you the increased customer lifetime value that accrues over time from your customers. We use the cohort or set of people based on when they first became a customer. That's called the first purchase month. And then we look at their behavior forever off into the future, and we correlate it back against ad spend and whatever we may have tracked their customer conversion point at. You can then use your source or campaign filters to figure out how that affects customer value in the future. For example, are Google customers more or less valuable than Facebook customers in the future? A great thing about this report is it can be used one day after your shopping cart has been integrated to Wicked Reports. You won't have the attribution yet because we need to start tracking how customers are converting and then tie it to the shopping cart value. But you still will be able to learn a lot of things about your customers that you might not already know. Now let's look at some of the insights we can get from this report. The first one, how fast until I can break even from trying to buy customers? You'll see there's a days until break even column. You just scroll up and down, and for that particular month and whatever you have filtered on, you will see how fast you have broken even if you are spending this much money on customers at this acquisition price. We look at the customers acquired and what day they're acquired and how long until they've made more than what you've spent. And you see in February, it was 6 days until you were break even. Pretty awesome month. You know, most months here are really low. So great insight here is you should be buying more of them. Raise your CAC a little. That's my insight. I always like to make money, but you don't want to leave money on the table. And so if you're breaking even too early and you have a large spread between your spend and your revenue, well, that means spend more so you can acquire more. How profitable are my customers over time? Well, let's go ahead and look at the Facebook source. You'll see here we have the ad spend now included for the time period. I can then run the report and it's going to tell me how profitable my Facebook customers are over time. To determine the value over time, you can pick a month. Let's look at October here, and you'll be able to see the increased value each month. Hopefully it's going up. And so you'll see here we went from 226 to 253 from month 1 to month 2. So that's about 15% increase. From an ROI perspective, where I'd spent $158,000 on acquiring these 1,523 new customers, you see I gained another 33% return on investment, and then another 19%, and then another 12%. So that is how you tell your increased value over time. And if you don't have ad spend for the source, or you're newer and looking at this report, so we don't have a lot of historical data, you can still just look at the additional value that the customers have brought you. Another question we can answer, another play to run here, when I buy more customers, does it increase the value over time, and does it increase the value in that month? Because sometimes you buy more customers, but they're cheaper. And so you think you're doing well, you have this high number of sales count, but the revenue's not there. So this is a good check and balance. So we see here, let's just start with May. Well, we bought a few less customers and then a lot less than July, and the revenue was down. Not good. Then we look ahead here to good old November, 2,300 customers, 600 grand, about the same as it was in July. Then we look up, and then September was an astronomical month, right? 3 times the customers, 3 times the revenue. And then when we go back down in January, we still kept the revenue about the same. So here we're finding that customers are very consistent in their value, and so you just want to buy as many as you can. No real huge insight there. Now, I will say February was a much worse month, and the lifetime value of them has been lower. But as we can see, each month we tend to accrue more value as there's repeat purchases. And so this value, this LTV, we don't want to overreact because it's only been 9 days into March when I cut this video. Another thing to check is, when do the customers double in value? You can double in value relatively quick, then you can spend more and raise your CAC. And if it takes a long time to double your value, then your CAC, you can only refine it or adjust it upward a little bit. you'll have to look elsewhere to automate. Because it's always fun if you're doubling your money in 90 days, and rather than worry about a lot of automations, just raise your CAC, because then you can just get that much more throughput in when you're bidding on the ad platforms. So let's look at how we determine that. We already have the ROI. We're looking for it to double. 104 doesn't double. Here's 98. It does double. It took 5 months. 212, it doubled 4 months. 207, doubled 4 months. So it's right around 4 months that's doubling, and that has slowed down in the past 3 months. So something's going on where the marketing is now slowing down, because where you knew that you were getting 360% 4 months out, you could actually raise that CAC, and that CAC was lower. And so then they did raise the CAC, and now they're not getting the double. So that means the CAC, the optimal CAC, is somewhere between 51 and 102 for this particular advertiser. And then one final thing that's quite interesting is you can see what's your best and worst months. Pretty obvious that December was amazing, but hey, so was May, so was April. COVID hit, everyone started buying lobsters. And then your worst months, well, March wasn't so hot before. And then there's all these great months. September kind of so-so. And then we're starting to dip back down. You know, it could be that it's a seasonal thing. February and March maybe aren't so hot for this particular product. Otherwise, I'd start to be worried, because this is dipping down for sure. But that's how easy it is. You can just look by revenue. You can look by break even, look by LTV, by whatever these columns are. You can look to see what was your best and worst month from a high macro level. Now, for any given source or without even filtering, you can scroll down and see what were the top 5 last clicks of this cohort. So of all Facebook customers that bought, what then made them buy? Repeat buyers are happening on AdWords category seafood. How crazy is that? And then where did these leads come from? Well, good old lobster dipping video is getting the top of the funnel clicks in the new lead conversions. So that's some great stuff right there. So now you can kind of map, hey, well, that video just is printing money for me from Facebook. That's what's getting the top of the funnel traffic to then end up converting as a new customer cohort on this report. So I hope that helps you. Use the new customer cohort to get an edge in your data and insights you otherwise wouldn't have. Thanks.